are you going to sue me or anything? I said, no. And that was that.
The question was, how would the loss of Doherty affect the show's success?
Shannon Doherty's departure might have improved the ratings simply from the perspective that people were tuning in to see how this new development would leave the show and how it would go on from there.
To replace Brenda, 20-year-old Tiffany Amber Thiessen was signed to play trampy vixen Valerie Malone. Thiessen relished the chance to obliterate the nice girl image she established on the teen comedy Saved by the Bell.
The whole vibe on the set was a little hard at first because I don't think they knew what to expect with this new person kind of coming on and somewhat filling shoes for someone else.
Without Doherty around, the atmosphere on the set finally settled down.
The cast and crew of 90210 were relieved when Shannon was no longer on the show because her behavior seemed to take away from what they were trying to accomplish. It was a distraction.
I don't know whether Shannon was so much an irritant that just her being gone sort of made things better. My suspicion is that that may have been part of it, but that also people were starting to see the limits of what was going to happen for them and recognize that they had a job to do and they had to be on time and be professional and deal with things as they came and make the best of what was there.
Doherty's departure was just the start of the exodus. In May 1995, at the end of Season 5, Gabrielle Carteris, Mark Espinoza, James Eckhouse, and Carol Potter all left the cozy confines of Beverly Hills.
The producers decided that the kids were too old to have their parents around all the time. So we did the most preposterous thing I think almost any parent would do, which is to leave our very expensive home in Beverly Hills, which is probably a significant portion of our nest egg, in the hands of our college-age children. And went off to Hong Kong.
During Season 6 in 1996, movie offers tempted another key player to depart. To set the stage, Luke Perry squared off against veteran character actor Stanley Camill.
Luke Perry was leaving the show, and so there was going to be like a 3-month storyline involving him intensely. And then I would be brought in to be his nemesis.
90210 writers put Perry's character, Dylan McKay, through emotional torture as he tracked down dangerous mafioso Tony Marchette, the man Dylan thought murdered his father.
Luke Perry, who was on a mission to get me, went to college and knew that there was a Tony Marchette in the same class that he was in. And it turned out to be a girl, my daughter, Rebecca Gayhart.
My character's name is Antonia Marchette, daughter of a very well-to-do businessman who happens to be the same man who killed Dylan's father. So Dylan seeks out the child of this guy, and it's me. Of course, we fall in love.
In a Romeo and Juliet plot twist, Dylan married Antonia against her father's wishes. Marchette hired assassins to kill Dylan, but they mistakenly murdered the daughter instead.
I get shot in the head. It's pouring raining outside. I'm in my car. Dylan runs over, opens the door. I fall out into his arms, and it's beautiful. He's holding his dead bride.
After the show started airing, people would say, "Your daughter is so beautiful," and I would say, well, they hired her primarily because she looked so much like me. And they kind of, what?
Camill was also bemused by his other young co-star.
The most vivid thing I remember about working with Luke Perry in 90210 was he never put his shirt on. He took his shirt off. Whenever he had the chance, he took his shirt off. He took his shirt off in the makeup room. He took his shirt off in rehearsals. He took his shirt off walking around the set. He took his shirt off when he was at the craft service table. He liked to take off his shirt.
But when the cameras rolled, Perry was all business.
My father is gone. Your daughter is gone. We're even now.
After that, Dylan packed his bags, hopped on his motorcycle, and rode off into the distance. Coming up, 90210 Forever.
The show is primarily constructed out of silicone and hairspray, and both of those things have a shelf life of at least 50 years. I figure we'll be around a long time.
The show was starting to run out of steam. For the characters, college graduation loomed ahead, but so did an uncertain future. At the start of Season 7, Jenny Garth was distracted. Jenny's marriage to musician Dan Clark hit the rocks.
I wasn't feeling good about the marriage, and it wasn't working out. My personal life was a disaster.
Jenny was very young when she married Dad. It was just a situation of two people growing up and growing apart at the same time. It's a tough situation to go through. It's a tough thing to go through. And it's even a harder thing to go through when you live in a fishbowl.
Eventually, the stress was too much for Garth. She divorced Clark in November 1996 and began dating actor Peter Facinelli.
It was definitely very hard for Jenny, but she came into work and she did what she had to do.
In fact, Aaron Spelling gave Garth and Jason Priestley added responsibilities as a way to keep them interested in the show.
He was very supportive of me directing.
I was worried that my fellow castmates would be like, "Are you kidding me? She's directing." They were all pretty shocked that I was able to pull it off.
Building cast morale on an ensemble show like 90210 was always a tricky proposition, especially when actors had to be replaced.
We brought a bunch of new people in. We threw ourselves into them and see how our audience liked it.
Showcasing contemporary musicians was another way 90210 managed to stay fresh.
We set up what was called the Peach Pit After Dark, and we had some really cool, hip, cutting-edge kind of alternative bands like Flaming Lips, The Chords, Goo Goo Dolls. We had, all kinds of people playing for us.
At the end of Season 7, on May 21st, 1997, the 90210 gang finally celebrated their graduation from college, while Donna finally celebrated the loss of her virginity. During summer hiatus in 1997, the Stork was busy visiting the 90210 cast. On June 15th, Luke Perry became the father of a baby boy, Jack. Just 2 weeks later, Jenny Garth and Peter Facinelli were the proud parents of a daughter, Luca Bella. Garth's pregnancy had been well concealed during the season.
I remember Jason was directing one of the episodes close to the time when I was getting a little bit bigger, and we would call the baby Bob, and he would say, "We gotta hide Bob," because it wasn't something that I was telling a lot of people about.
Ian Ziering, meanwhile, was also busy planning his future. In July 1997, Ziering married 25-year-old Playboy playmate Nikki Schuyler. Ian and Nikki met 3 years earlier when she was an extra on 90210. When Season 8 of 90210 began in September 1997, more new characters were introduced to face the challenges of life after college. Actress Hilary Swank appeared in 16 episodes during Season 8 as Carly, a waitress at the Peach Pit who falls in love with Steve Sanders. 20-year-old Lindsay Price also came aboard, playing Janet Sosna, a staffer at the Beverly Beat newspaper.
With a show like this that's been on for so long, coming in sort of the ninth inning like that is a tricky situation. When Janet first came onto the scene, she was sort of like the girl Friday. And my big lines each episode were like, "Here's your envelope, Steve." Like, that was pretty much it.
Price was careful not to reveal her true feelings about her co-stars.